Seymour and Capilano reservoirs combined will provide close to 70% of the region's drinking water.
The first families to farm in the Fraser Valley were largely gold miners.
The municipalities should get together as a partnership and figure out how best to accommodate the growth.
Welcome to the Sustainable Region. I'm Kaljit Kayla. Today we're at Deer Lake Park in Burnaby for a special Best of show featuring favorite episodes from the past seasons. We begin with a news segment that features exclusive footage that you won't see anywhere else. As the region's population grows, so does the demand for clean and safe drinking water. Construction of a new water filtration system is underway, and Suzanne Hepburn gets an update on the progress.
Hi, and welcome to Ask an Expert. Today I'm visiting the site of the Seymour Capilano Filtration Plant. When construction is complete, the plant will filter most of the Lower Mainland's drinking water. It is a colossal project, and we've been tracking its progress over the past few years. Inder Singh is a senior project manager with the GVRD, and he's going to show us around the site. Hi, Inder.
Hello, good morning, Suzanne. Welcome to the Seymour Capilano Filtration Plant.
Thank you very much. Things have changed a great deal since I was last here. Can you tell us where we are now in the process?
Definitely. We've made quite a bit of progress over the last numbers of months, and right now we're currently standing on top of the clear well, which will house the finished water once it's gone through the treatment process. And the best way to describe that would be to actually enter into the clear well itself. And why don't we go and take a look downstairs?
Okay, great. Wow, this is really impressive.
Well, right now we are inside the clear well, which is one half of the two systems that we have. This facility itself will house 200 million liters of water, and the overall plant will produce 1.8 billion liters of water per day. That's enough to actually fill BC Place Stadium within one day of production.
If this is where the treated water sits, where does the water actually get treated?
The actual treatment process is upstream of the clear well. This will house the finished water, and we'll take you up to the site and show you the rest of the treatment process.
Great.
We're now up at the filter gallery itself, and just behind me what you'll see here are the filters under construction.
What are the really large pipes for?
The large pipes that you see are the outlets from the filters themselves. Water then passes into these pipes through ultraviolet disinfection units. The UV disinfection units that will go into this plant when it's complete will place this on the world scale as the largest UV disinfection plant in the entire world.
So this is obviously a massive construction site. You must be using an awful lot of resources. Where do you get the materials from?
We've processed gravels on site itself, and the concrete that we're using here as well, it's all being resourced within the watershed lands themselves.
Upon completion, what percentage of the Lower Mainland's drinking water will be treated here?
The Seymour and Capilano reservoirs combined will provide close to 70% of the region's drinking water. And what you see behind me right now is the large pipeline that comes from the tunnel portals from Capilano. And it brings water to the head of the plant and is combined with the Seymour water to treat jointly at this treatment plant.
The filtration plant project involves boring 2 tunnels from the Seymour shaft all the way to the Capilano reservoir. This is the tunnel access shaft, and Tom Morrison is the senior project engineer in charge of the tunneling. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Suzanne.
What stage is the tunneling at now?
The contractor, Bilfinger Berger, is just about to start installing the tunnel boring machines, and we've sunk the vertical Seymour access shaft, and there's quite a substantial cavern at the shaft bottom. And the installation of the tunnel boring machines will take the rest of this summer. And tunneling will actually start in earnest probably in September or October time.
What did it take to get to this stage?
The design engineers, Hatchmont MacDonald, selected a vertical alignment of the tunnels deep in rock to assure us of good tunneling conditions all the way to Capilano. This necessitated sinking the 600-foot vertical Seymour shaft. And it's a big shaft, 40 feet in diameter and 600 feet deep. And it was also sunk without any major accidents, which is an outstanding safety achievement. In addition to the shaft, there's quite a substantial excavation at the bottom of the shaft, which was drilled and blasted out of the rock to allow space for building the tunnel boring machines. which will be brought in parts and then assembled underground.
Why is the diameter so wide?
The thing that drove the diameter of this shaft is the need to lower the tunnel boring machine parts down it, and some of the first pieces have already arrived, so come and have a look.
Okay, great.
Well, look at this piece, for instance. This thing by itself weighs 30 tons, and this is only a part of the machine. And here's another part, and that weighs 50 tons. And the machine itself, when it's fully installed, will be 1,000 feet long.
Wow.
And that machine is going to drill a 12-foot tunnel through solid granite for 5 miles.
At what rate will the tunnels be bored?
Roughly 30 meters a day when it's going.
Okay, and at that rate, how long will it take to complete the tunnels?
Probably about a year. And after we get to the Capilano end, we've still got to bore 2,000-foot vertical shafts to connect the tunnels up to the plant at Capilano.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. It's been really interesting.
You're most welcome.
The Seymour Capilano Filtration Plant is one of the largest projects the GVRD has ever undertaken. The target completion date is 2008. If you've got a question you'd like us to find an expert to answer, give us a call at 604-436-6794 or email at sustainableregion@gvrd.bc.ca. I'm Suzanne Hepburn. I'll see you next time.
Look for the Check It Out program guide in your local library or on the website www.gvrd.bc.ca, or you can call 604-432-6200. Welcome back. You're watching the best of the sustainable region. You might think a story about pastoral farming life would leave aside themes of transportation, economics, and urban growth. But it is these urban factors that play a leading role in the history of agriculture in the Fraser Valley.
The Stolo Nation were, of course, the sole occupiers of the Fraser Valley in the pre-contact era, and their food supply was largely fishing and involved in hunting. The first Fort Langley was established in 1827. The Hudson's Bay farm really expanded and took up several thousand acres stretching from present-day Langley City right up to the Fraser River.
The Hudson's Bay Company not only had to provide for the people that they had living here at the fort, but they also began to sell the dairy products outside and agricultural products. So eventually agricultural products they supplanted even the materials that were the traditional fare of the fur trade.
The first families to farm in the Fraser Valley were largely gold miners who had come up the river in 1858, some 30,000 such miners. They settled primarily close to the Fraser River because that was the only means of transportation. They suffered in their farming initially from the floods of the Fraser River. Clearing the land was very hard. The trees were huge. Dynamite had to be used to get rid of the stumps. The Stolo had their land areas gradually shrink. When the canneries began in the 1870s, that really spelled the doom of the fishery for the Stolo.
Well, the BC Electric was really important to the dairy industry when it came into Chilliwack in the teens of the century. Suddenly the farmers out there who'd only been able to sell to a fairly limited market and throughout the valley were now able to gain access to a much larger metropolitan market in New Westminster and also in Vancouver.
During this period you saw the river becoming less and less important. It was a barrier now instead of a facilitator. And hence the Patella Bridge was built in 1937 and connected New Westminster to the Surrey area. It's just absolutely full of things.
The distributors and processors in Vancouver began to put the squeeze on, well, all farmers. The Fraser Valley Milk Producers Association eventually got going, and that was important as a voice for farmers. There are old-timers and people that say, you know, I think we really let something go here that was really important.
The Japanese Canadians, who had been very prominent in the berry growing industry in the Fraser Valley, they were evicted from their farms, rounded up and evicted and sent to camps, and their farms were sold off at very fire sale prices to other farming groups. One of the other developments post-World War II was the greater mechanization of agriculture. Everybody had to have a Ford tractor, and they were more affordable. You also had better freezing methods for produce and berries. People that had limited skills, who would normally have gone to work on farms, now were lured to the cities, where they became employed in laboring jobs. In 1964, a new freeway was built across the Fraser Valley, and the Port Mann Bridge was opened. It was just the more or less direct, shortest route between A and B. And many farms, indeed, were cut in half. So we began to see suburbia. In 1972, the Agricultural Land Reserve established a reserve of farmland based upon the existing farmland areas, and that reserve could not be encroached upon without the approval of the Land Commission. The farmland is still threatened, but at least the dike was plugged as best it could be in 1972. The more recent intensive agriculture has allowed for export all over the world. There is a tremendous amount of food and product that can be processed on relatively small acreages, and that is one area where the Fraser Valley has shown itself unique.
Enter the Sustainable Region's Home Sustainability Challenge. Tell us what you are doing to make your home more sustainable, and you will be entered into a draw to win this home sustainability kit. The kit includes low-flow shower heads, a thermostat timer, energy saver light bulbs, and much more. Call us now at 604-436-6794 or email us at sustainableregion@gvrd.bc.ca to enter.
Welcome back to the best of the sustainable region. Next up, we take a look at the region's town centre's approach to growth management. It's a development strategy that's been shaping Greater Vancouver since the early 1960s. To a large degree, Greater Vancouver has been formed by its geography. The mountains, oceans, and rivers that make this one of the world's most beautiful regions have also influenced the way our cities have grown.
We only have this sort of area, this kind of pie-shaped area to the east of downtown Vancouver in which to accommodate our growth, because we have the mountains on the north as a constraint and the United States border on the south as a constraint, and then the major barrier of the Fraser River.
But planning policy has also played a significant role. Through a desire to protect our livability, municipalities in Greater Vancouver all agree on the same growth strategy, the Livable Region Strategic Plan. Town centres are a crucial component of that plan.
This plan dates back from the mid-60s when the Greater Vancouver Regional District was formed, and the urban structure and accommodating another 1 million people was seen as something that the municipalities should get together as a partnership and figure out how best to accommodate the growth.
The Livable Region Strategic Plan identifies a network of town centres across the region. Downtown Vancouver, with its concentration of offices, retailing, entertainment and other services, forms a metropolitan core serving the entire region. 8 regional town centres serve the sub-regions. All of these centres are designed to have a range of housing and employment options.
There's a certain natural evolution to a centre, but to actually make it function in a way that really does create a vibrant urban place takes a lot of planning. For example, some of the centres would only be a major regional shopping mall unless the plan was put in place to make sure that there was housing around it, make sure there was offices, make sure there was good transit.
Here in this location at Burnaby's Metrotown, you can see the 5 building blocks of town centres: housing, office towers and retail space that provide jobs, transportation, amenities such as the public library, and the pedestrian environment.
The city has played a major role in ensuring that Metrotown has appropriate amenities and services. On a number of occasions, the city has actually gone out, purchased property, and in turn made it available for a larger assembly by a private developer.
While our growth rate in the region overall has been 24%, in town centres the growth rate has been 44%.
The city's experiencing in its town centre a great deal of residential and mixed-use development with the shipyard redevelopment that's called the Pier, and the city's efforts to develop land in Lower Lonsdale, and just the fact that there's a recycling, regeneration in our commercial core area with new development. There's been a lot of residential development. In a traditional year in the city, 300 units. In the last 3 or 4 years, been typically 500 units, and most of that concentrated in the town centre.
But for town centres to thrive, employment opportunities must be located close to where people live. Metrotown provides over 20,000 jobs through retail, business offices, and government offices.
I live here and I work just over there. It's a great 30-second commute. It does make a big difference in what things you can do. I can get out and have a run and be home in time to make dinner where people are still on the roads making their commute home. I don't use my car much at all. We use it for golfing and that's about it. Everything else is right here.
Integrating land use and transportation increases the viability of other forms of transportation than the car. Here in Metrotown, 43% of people walk, take transit, or bike to work. The regional average is only 19%. This is why municipalities like Richmond are choosing to build amenities and other services in close proximity.
Part of that has been to have commercial developments fronting onto the street, townhouse units that face directly onto the street, so there's front doors, gardens along the street edge. Also just the way the street's being designed, so that there's on-street parking, there's benches along the edge of the curb, garbage cans, street lights, all of these things.
The goal of the town centre strategy is to create complete communities where residents have access to the housing, jobs and amenities they need. In the North American context, we've been pretty successful at achieving these goals, but there are still challenges to be met.
The location of employment has been a real challenge, office employment in particular. It hasn't gone to the town centres the way we'd hoped. It's gone instead to these low-density office parks where it's been easy to build relatively cheap office space with surface parking over large stretches of areas. The structure of a city changes slowly because many of the things we build we hope are going to be here for 30, 40, 50 years and sometimes even longer. A lot of small decisions add up to a cumulative path, and so you nudge it along, you change the path a little bit at a time, and in 15, 20 years then you can actually start to see the real changes that you've effected.
the Check It Out program guide in your local library or on the website www.gvrd.bc.ca, or you can call 604-432-6200. Welcome back to the best of the sustainable region as we take a look at our favorite episodes. Our region is home to close to 2 million people, and all of us produce garbage. In 2004, we generated a staggering 2 million tons of garbage. 79% of that came from demolition, construction, and light industry. Our next segment is a behind-the-scenes tour of where our household garbage goes.
People have all these preconceptions about what they think a garbage dump is going to be like, and so the idea of the open house is to bring them here and say this is what the landfill really is all about, and also to provide a whole range of other opportunities all in one location.
They want to see where all the smelly garbage goes.
He certainly likes climbing on the machines, and he did that last year, and he's been talking about it for a few weeks getting here, so he likes that, and the sandbox is going to be very popular.
Oh, it's a great day to come to the landfill and see what goes on at the dump.
I'm Paul Henderson. I'm the manager of the landfill and also the manager of the city's transfer station. This, for anybody that thinks they're at, I don't know where you might think you are, Van Dusen Gardens or something, this is actually the Vancouver landfill. And what we do is we take about 40% of the garbage from all of the GVRD. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be driving through the landfill and showing you all the highlights of the site. People come here, they drop their garbage into those bins. The rest of the facility is all recycling. So you can see lead acid batteries, there's mixed containers, there's mixed paper and corrugated cardboard. There's a real opportunity to reduce the amount of waste that we're actually disposing in the landfill. What we do is we drill holes into that garbage and we put pipes in, they're perforated, so plastic pipes with holes in them, and then we suck the gas out of the landfill. There's bacteria that are in there eating the garbage, just like Pac-Man. And what those bacteria produce is a combination of methane and carbon dioxide. And of course the methane is just like natural gas. So there's a lot of energy in that methane. What we're doing is we're piping gas to a greenhouse that's immediately south of the highway, and there at the greenhouse they're generating electricity and then heat to heat the greenhouse.
We are contractors to the landfill for bird control. We keep the gulls out of the garbage for them not to spread garbage all throughout Delta. And we use the female of the species. Females are about 1/3 bigger than the males. We'll do a quick little demo of how we fly birds between us, but this is not actual hunting techniques.
Like everything, we try to have simple processes. We take the yard trimmings, we put it in the front end of that plant. All the fine material falls through the holes, the coarse material comes out through the drum. And it takes between 6 months and a year for the material to get to the point where it can be sold as compost. The process that happens up here on the landfill, one of the guys that works here at the landfill describes it as C-pile, push pile. And that's the basic process. The garbage comes out of the tractor trailer, and then we have a bulldozer. What it does, and it's doing it right now, is it takes the pile and it spreads it down the hill. There's been about 40 years of filling, so this whole 3-kilometer trip we've been going by 40 years of garbage. The plan over the next 40 years is to refill the whole landfill.
They're huge. They'd be fun. They would rumble. They would rock. They would roll.
Who likes this machine more, you or your son?
My son, definitely.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thanks so much again for coming this morning.
I think it's fantastic to hear that we've got energy recovery coming from the methane, and that's an initiative that's going to expand.
What impressed me was the way they're using recycled material. They're using the building material for the cover-up over there.
That's the thing about it, is that people that have come previously know that there's a lot of interesting things going on at the landfill. They tell their friends, they see it in the paper, and it keeps growing.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Sustainable Region. We would like to hear your comments on this show. You can call us at 604-436-6794 or email us at sustainableregion@gvrd.bc.ca. I'm Kalji Kayla, and we'll see you next time.